Welcome back to more Summoner's War Monster Strategies. Today we're going to be looking at Taharus, the Wind Elemental. Normal Elemental, not Low Elemental and not High Elemental. People get confused from that. The Normal Elemental, Taharus, Wind Element. Okay, so this guy can actually be pretty good. This guy and the Dark Elemental are the two elementals that are known to be the best ones of the 5. But I'll be talking about the Dark one in like 4 videos from now. But anyway, Taharus has, well, his HP, let's talk about his stats. But yeah, his HP, 6,460. I mean, honestly, even though I just said he's good, looking at that is a major turnoff. It is. That is the most pathetic HP I've ever seen. Probably, like, what, the second lowest, third lowest? I have no idea, but extremely low. Extremely low. That's a big problem. On top of that, the defense is only at 439. However, the attack is at 780, that's pretty freaking good, and the speed is respectable at 107. So, this guy is pretty interesting because of his skill setup, combined with his attacks. Like I said, very, very glass cannon-like monster, but offensively quite powerful, especially with the DOTs he can do. So, Lightning Claw. Lightning Claw says, attacks the enemy with sharp lightning claws, inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns if you get a critical hit. Alright, keep that in mind, that's pretty interesting. The second skill, increases your attack power and critical rate for 3 turns. Additionally, your attack power increases by your attack bar, increases by 50%. And the third skill is Assassinate, inflicts a deep wound to the target, leaving 2 continuous damage effects for 3 turns. Okay, so just by looking at these skills, you can see that Taharus can actually inflict DOTs with 2 different skills. The first one inflicting it 1 time. If you get a critical hit, it has a 100% chance to inflict it 1 time for 2 turns, and the third one inflicts 2 continuous damage effects, not 1, but 2, for 3 turns, with a very high chance because it doesn't say probability, which means that it only takes into consideration the resistance of the enemy and your accuracy. So, that's useful. On top of that, the second skill improves attack power. The attack power itself, the attack power bonus is not too useful because you'll see that you don't want to boost him in terms of attack, but you want to boost him for DOT. But the second part, critical rate, that's good for the first skill. And then the other thing is that it increases your attack power by 50%, which means that when you use this, you're going to get a second turn, pretty soon. Definitely. Alright, so, interesting setup, and actually this monster is pretty good. Unlike a lot of 2-star monsters, this guy is one of the ones that is used. Actually, I've seen some people 6-star this, but other people would recommend not to, and I'll get to that in a bit, because there's another monster that overshadows this guy completely. Okay, so, rune setups. Well, I would say, because he is a big glass cannon, you have to make him tanky, because again, you don't want to make him attack based. Instead, you want to give him accuracy to land his debuffs, as well as probably critical rate for the first skill, and HP. So here's what I would do. I would do Energy Blade, any combination of energy and or blade. That's it, because you want critical rate bonuses, and you want, well, energy bonuses. HP. For his slot 2, I would say HP. I mean, putting speed, it's a bit risky because you want to make him tanky to survive attacks, even though yes, he'll get less attacks, but he already has a skill 2, which improves his bar by 50%. Overall, I would say you can get by with this monster without using speed. I would say that. So I would go with HP. The slot 4, either HP or critical rate. Critical rate is, of course, to, land DOT in skill number 1. Now, you don't have to get his critical rate to 100%. Actually, I would recommend not to, and instead just get it pretty high. And for the rest of that, you want to actually use some HP to make him tanky. The reason why you don't want to do that is because, well, with an already high enough critical rate, by just using the critical rate in slot 4, I would say, in addition to slot 2, improving critical rate percentage, I think you're good to go. He will land critical hits almost all the time. Also, for slot number 6, I would say accuracy to try and get this, the third skill to always land 2 DOTs every single time. Pretty useful. And that is pretty much his rune setup. So as you can see, his priorities are, well, accuracy and critical rate, in addition to making him tanky to actually take some hits before he freaking dies. Taharus can actually be pretty useful for the dungeons, really bosses, because if he can land this move all the time, almost all the time with a DOT with a critical hit, in addition to this one by leaving 2 every single turn if you have high accuracy, in addition to this one improving the critical rate, and your attack bar. I mean, he's good. He is a boss killer. He's a DOT user. Here's a problem though. Even though I said that some people do use him to a good extent, and he is good. He is definitely good. I mean, he's not like freaking amazing, but he is a good monster. He is useful. Even though he is good, there is a monster who is the same element as this guy, who is also a DOT user. You guys already know him by, well, the Wind Ninja, Orochi. The problem arises when you get Orochi. If you get Orochi, what you're going to realize is that you're going to not use this guy as much anymore, because Orochi is, well, a lot better. I mean, come on, Orochi's first skill can, you use DOTs, and the third skill can do 6 DOTs if you have critical rate at 100%. 6 DOTs versus 2, I mean, you can't compare that. It's no contest. That's the problem. Which is why, I mean, like I said, even though he is useful, and even though I've seen some 6 stars actually really well runed, I would say even with that you really shouldn't do it, because I would say keep him at a 5-star if you need a DOT user, level 35 5-star, and keep him like that, and eventually try to go for Orochi if you can get him. Once you get Orochi, this guy's going to be useless. So he is actually useful for more than just, to the mid-game point. He can be used to the, I wouldn't say end game, but like, what's the middle of mid-game and end game? I don't know. But basically, it's until you use Orochi. Let's just say it. Until you, like, if you need a DOT user and you are looking for Orochi, this guy's going to be useful up until you get Orochi. And that's that. So my overall review, he's good. I would say he's a keeper if you don't have good boss killers, that can deal with good damage. Useful for water boss especially because its critical rate is going to work almost all the time due to elemental advantage. But yeah, has a lot of use, definitely one of the better elementals. This guy and the dark elemental are the 2 best ones. And because of that, I would recommend keeping him if you need him. So, go ahead and leave a comment if you have found some, rather useful rune setups, if you know anything about this guy. Go ahead and leave your rune recommendations if you find some success with this guy so that other people can see it as always. So, thank you for watching, goodbye everybody, and until next time.